Hello, this is Jesse Oakley III, and welcome to the Oak Zone, where we provide positive words of wisdom for you. That's right, you, the happy people. Now, normally on Monday through Fridays, I will share with you a plethora of positive words of wisdom called the Oak Zone with Jesse Oakley III. But today is Sunday morning, and it is time for the Sunday morning chat series. And here I get to interview a plethora of positive people that are making a big difference in the community, whether they are speakers, authors, yoga instructors, Bitcoin experts, animal rescue volunteers, organ donors, you name it. I will interview these people on my show, the Sunday Morning Chat Series. And today, we have ourselves a fantastic show. Now, many of you know that I interviewed a plethora of writers in this Sunday Morning Chat Series, and I got a chance to meet this wonderful, lovely lady who has a book out called Strengthen, Develop the Leader Within. And if you were to meet this person in person, you'll see that she is a dynamic, wonderful, and awesome lady to get a chance to know. And we're going to talk about her book and her inspirations behind it and everything else. So please help me welcome the author of Strengthen, Develop the Leader Within, Miss Laura Miner. Hey, Laura, how's it going?
Hello, Jesse. How are you? Thank you so much for having me here today.
And thank you. I'm doing very well, and thank you for being here. And without any further delay, let's chat. All right, now, Laura, could you tell the happy people out there what this book is all about?
Absolutely. There are a ton of leadership books that are available that talk about leadership as an external concept. When a lot of people think about leadership, they think about other people. You ask somebody about leadership experiences in their lives, and they tell you about other leaders that inspired them. But truth be told, leadership really starts internally.
Ooh.
The best leaders focus on developing the leader within. And that is the premise of my book. How can you really get to the root of what it takes to be a successful leader and really dig in, develop the leader within, and be able to create the leader that you wish you had had all along?
All right, fantastic. Now, what inspired you to write this book?
Wow. Well, that was a journey. It was definitely an evolution. It wasn't a spark or, a particular incident. It actually was a lifetime of situations that built up and led to the desire. And several things contributed to it. Back in mid 2000s, I worked for an organization that did some unscrupulous things. There were some morality issues, some unethical steps taken. I eventually separated from that company. And it was actually the last company that I have ever drawn a W 2 from. That was all the way back in 2009. And after the frustrations that I had with that organization, I really wanted to work for ethical, effective leaders.
Mm.
I wanted to work for them. I wanted to work with them. I wanted to make a material difference in the lives of everyday employees because it's everyday employees who are negatively impacted by leadership structures that are less than what they could potentially be. So I left that organization and I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to branch out on my own. I'm going to be a consultant because then I can choose who to work with and I can ensure that the people that I work with are stellar leaders who do not compromise their integrity or their ethics, who live with a certain moral principle. And guess what? I could not have been more mistaken. I wound up working with the same sorts of people and I could not understand why. And so as I dug further into it, I realized a lot of people don't know how to amplify their leadership skills. They lead from a reactionary perspective. They don't really put time and effort into leading. And we actually have the corporate environment to blame for that. Daniel Goleman did a ton of research on the 6 different emotional leadership styles that are out there. Of these 6, there were only 2 that negatively impact the workplace environment.
Okay.
Ironically, one of those 2 is pace setting, which on the surface sounds like it would be a great leader. A pace setting leader is somebody that gets in the trenches, does the work with his or her team, takes them along and says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work. We're going to work from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. We're going to get it all done. We're going to make this happen. And what they don't realize is that when you promote somebody that is a go-getter, it sets such a high bar and such a high expectation for others that you actually crush morale and you crush productivity. So you reward somebody who is good at their job by promoting them, but the end result is that it actually hurts the culture of the organization. And I wanted to understand this more. I wanted to make a difference there. I wanted to know, how could I impact the 6 inches between a leader's ears so that I could really help them to understand what it is that they could do differently to change that morale, to improve workplace conditions, to make people want to come to work.
Okay.
Read a ton of books, went to a ton of seminars, did all the things that traditionally you could do, and then realized I needed to go deeper. And so I actually got a master's in organizational leadership and development, which is how I wound up going down the path where I wrote Strengthened, Developing the Leader Within. And then after that, continued the journey, and I'm now pursuing a PhD in leadership studies because there's just still so much work for me to do. So thank you.
All right. This is truly fantastic. Now, you mentioned a little bit about your journey, about the book Strength and Leaders Within and what you went through. Now, when it comes to writing the book, what were some of the challenges that you faced in writing Strengthened?
So there were a few challenges, not going to lie. For one, I am actually dyslexic. And when a lot of people hear that, they're surprised because I wrote a book. Actually, this is not my first book, it's just my most recent book. I try to write blog posts regularly. Obviously, in pursuing a PhD, I have to do a lot of writing. So one of the challenges for me personally was that I had to know my strengths and I had to know my weaknesses. And one of my weaknesses is my ability to write quickly, because the way that I process language and the way that I write is different from most people. So the first challenge I had to overcome was leveraging my strengths to overcome my weaknesses and being able to do that in a way that I could empower my words to come to life through the pages of the book in a means that other people could follow and connect with the journey. So that was one struggle. But the other was just the motivation, right? Because writing a book is hard. And I've got it right here. This is not a thin book. This is not a booklet. This is not small. This is a hefty book. And so the motivation to say, I'm going to hold myself accountable every single day to at least writing 500 words. That was my goal, 500 words, no matter what. Now, there were days where I wrote 501 words and it was a slog. And there were days when I wrote 3,000 words and everything felt like it was just falling into place and it was on fire. But consistency was the key. And I had to hold myself accountable to that consistency because I knew if I didn't, the book would never get published. And I think the saddest thing for authors are the words that never make it into print, because there are so many people that have started books that their books never ever hit a shelf because they could not muster up the motivation, the conviction, and the consistency to actually make it happen.
Now, I tell you what, that was a fantastic answer. And your story, 500 to 3,000 words, dang, that's amazing. And I got to tell you that, well, what you just said, it reminds me of a certain speaker that said, what are some of the treasures that you can find? And some of the treasures you can find is in the graveyard, because that's where the treasures are, because people haven't produced as much after, especially just before they pass. So you find a whole bunch of treasures in each graveyard. So what you just said really hit home. My goodness. All right, now the next question I have for you is, what were some of the best moments you experienced after writing and publishing this book?
That's a wonderful question, because in the process of writing, some of the most memorable experiences aren't what you might expect. I feel really blessed. I have a brilliant husband who has the patience to read every word that I write. I also have a wonderful inner circle of friends and readers and colleagues that were always willing to go through what I put together to make sure that my line of thought was cohesive, that all of my ideas were coming together in a way that it could be traced like you're going down a breadcrumb trail. And what's interesting is that some of my best moments when they came back to me and said, what is this? This doesn't make sense. I don't even understand what you're saying. Like, what is going on, right? So the feedback that said to me some of my thoughts and ideas were not being conveyed in a way that I wanted them to be received were actually some of the best moments, because it was like light bulbs going off that were illuminating the way, that allowed me to refine the message, refine the tools, take action in a way that made more sense, that brought my words to life in a different way, and that really allowed me to get my message across in a fashion that resonated with who I am and how I want to help other people.
All right. That is a perfect answer right there. My goodness. Now, let's say that you meet someone who is an aspiring author and they want to get to where you are right now. If you can offer some solid advice for this aspiring individual, what would it be?
Well, I would definitely say clarity on what you want to deliver, the message that you want to share, and how that message is helping the audience that you want to help is critical. Without clarity, this book would not have come to be. And without clarity, you can't even identify the right audience to help. So definitely clarity is a really, really big piece of it. And clarity leads you down a path that connects so many different things. When you start to get clear on who your audience is and what the message is that you want to deliver, then you find yourself doing more research in that area, and you find more resources, and you find more people to connect with. And relationships start naturally surfacing. And all of a sudden, all these connections start happening in a way that you are able to bring your message to life in a way that you never imagined. So absolutely, it seems so basic and so remedial, but
Mhm.
starting with clarity, getting really, really curious about it so that you can grow and evolve from there, that's where you need to start. That is where success happens, not in the final print, but in the research and the efforts that went into your clarity when you got started.
Boom. That's some great advice for those aspiring authors. And if you are aspiring authors, take note of these words. Hit rewind again, and then listen to Laura's words again, and then rewind again, and then listen to it again. So she just hit the nail right there on the head. Now, how can people know more about this book? Is there a website they can go to?
Absolutely. They can go to my website, laurawminer.com. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy your books. It's available in both an ebook, a Kindle, and a physical form. Or you can find me on social media. I'm on all the platforms as Laura W. Miner. Easy to find, not hard. And so, yeah, it's a great way to connect. I actually have a new initiative for myself.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I have never been a big LinkedIn user. I'm not sure why. It's just never really been my thing. And so that is my new initiative. I will be launching a LinkedIn, really, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but for me, really being active in a way that delivers leadership development nuggets to the people that I connect with on LinkedIn. So that will be my next initiative in at the end of August, once we get back from vacation. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Now, for those people that missed those links, do not fret because the links will be in the description below. So after this interview, you can check out the plethora of links that Laura provided right there on the descriptions below. Is that right, Laura?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, we're almost at the end of this interview, and time flies when you're having a whole lot of fun. Wouldn't you agree with that too?
So true.
Exactly. Now, this portion is a shout out portion. If you can give a shout out to anybody for making this possible, who would you give a shout out to?
Wow. So I write about this person in my book. I was really fortunate. I returned to school to pursue this whole big long road in organizational leadership development and organizational psychology in my mid 40s. And when I did so, I went to school like physically on campus with people that were younger than my own children. And so I was going to college with kids that were younger than my kids and felt a little bit like a fish out of water because I didn't connect or identify with these kids. I had vastly more experience. I had been a corporate executive. I had been a director of sales who had 1,400 sales reps reporting to me. I had had very, very high positions in sales and technologies. And I didn't really relate to people who hadn't been in the workplace yet. And so I went to my counselor at college and I said, here's the situation. I really want to find somebody who's taken this path ahead of me, who could maybe help me, give me some guidance, maybe do an independent study or something with me. And after being really persistent, keyword persistent, right? If you don't get yes, don't look at it as no.
Right.
Look at it as not yet and keep on knocking on every single door until one opens. And eventually a door opened, and it was Dr. Christina Wilson.
Okay.
She is an industrial organizational psychologist who lives in Denver, Colorado.
Right.
And she took me under her wing and she got to know me and she got to understand what I was passionate about, how it is I wanted to help people, what it is I wanted to achieve. And she said, let me help you along the way. And she's not somebody who normally took on independent studies. She is also an independent consultant, as well as being a teacher, a professor at a university. She's got a full plate, but she was willing to invest her time in me. And I wouldn't be where I am at today. I wouldn't have published this book. I wouldn't be in the PhD program that I am in if it weren't for Dr. Christina Wilson. And my biggest lesson in that was the fact that you have to ask. A lot of times mentors don't just magically show up. You don't get to rub a magic lamp and have them go poof and there they suddenly are. You have to make you have to make your own path, your own way. You have to knock on doors. You have to ask questions. You have to invest in your own future so that other people want to be there to support you in your goals and dreams. And so yes, oh my gosh, I cannot give her enough love because I would not be here where I am at right now today without her.
Bang. That is a great shout out, and also some great, amazing quotes and everything else, because you again hit the nail right there on the head. I'm just getting excited just thinking about the words that you're saying right now. And speaking of words, we have the last question that's here. And this question is addressed to my people, my crew, which is known as the Happy People. If you can offer the Happy People, my crew, any more solid words of wisdom for this interview, what would it be?
Find your happy. Happy doesn't just show up. A lot of times we like to just wait around and think that happy is going to make a magical appearance. But finding your happy is what it's all about. One of the things that I write about in my book is the importance of experimentation, of experimenting with what brings you joy, experimenting with what works, and more importantly, determining what doesn't, right? The only way we know that is because we've experimented with things that don't work. So experiment, explore, leverage your curiosity, which I've mentioned one other time in this interview, because curiosity is one of the 24 character strengths that have been shown to be relevant in every single human being across the globe, regardless of the area that you're in, your socioeconomic status, your race, your gender, your class. Curiosity is one of the 24 character strengths that we all possess. So leverage your curiosity to find your happy and then chase it like there's no tomorrow.
Ooh, that was a perfect bookend to this wonderful, solid interview. And on behalf of all the happy people that are watching all over the world, I'd like to take the time to thank you, Laura, for an amazing interview. And remember, strengthen the discipline, the leader within. Check that out on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. The link will be in the description below. And again, Laura, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be on the Oak Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series.
Thank you so much, Jesse. It was my pleasure.
All right. Now, this concludes this episode of the Oak Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series. If you want more plethora of positivity, just go to YouTube, type my name, Jesse Oakley III, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, like, comment, and share these videos with other happy people that you know. And once you get to my YouTube channel, click on the link Sunday Morning Chat Series. This is where I do past interviews with a plethora of positive people like my friend Laura right here. And this concludes this episode of the Oak Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series. Until next time, you take care and have a great day. Bye.